Hi guys, this is Jackie Cooper and I'm with JCooperTravels, and today I have a special friend and guest on, Chef Dwayne, who has been in the restaurant business hospitality field for many years, and he's going to talk to us about if you're interested in getting started in this field, what you need to do, and some of the variety of things that are going on pre and post COVID in the restaurant and hospitality area. Dwayne, I know that we have no picture today because of internet connection, which is totally fine. I want to welcome you today to the podcast as well as the YouTube. Can you share a little bit more about your background, because you've done such a variety of really interesting things, and thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's great to be here. If you hear the bell in the background, that's not the kitchen bell in the window. That's my puppy that I taught how to ring the bell to go out, and now she just rings the bell just to, see if I'm paying attention. Um, my background, well, I I always said if being in the right place at the right time isn't a coincidence. I've been in kitchens in some of the finest kitchens in North America for 4 decades, and I went back to Canada in the early '80s to play hockey. I come from a long line of hockey players, and wanted to follow in my father's footsteps. He's in the Hall of Fame, but I ended up starting in a kitchen when I was very young because my dad taught me how to drive. So when he was out of town on games traveling, I would just take the car and go to school or go to work or go to hockey practice or whatever. And it's funny, I got pulled over and the police officer came up to me and said, "Excuse me, sir, can I see your driver's license and registration?" And I looked around the car and I said, "Are you talking to me?" And I was 13, and he said, "What's your name?" And I told him, and he said, "Follow me down to the police station." So I got a ticket. My dad said I needed to get a job to pay the fine, and I tried being a caddy, but I didn't like getting up at 3 a.m. I went to an orchard and I picked fruit and vegetables. I got a good suntan that day. And then when the whistle blew at lunch, I asked how much. I gave him all my tickets. I said, "How much have I made?" And it was like $3. And I was like, "That's crazy." I walked home like 10 miles. We had neighbors that own and still operate and own Alfred's Victorian, which is one of Pennsylvania's, I think, finest and most interesting restaurants in Middletown, PA, outside of Hershey. It's a big old Victorian mansion. It's called Alfred's Victorian. So I started working there when I was 13, and I just loved it instantly because it was hard work, it was learning, and it was people. So I worked there for, I think, at least 3 years. Learned a lot of the basics, the pot station, the dish station, all the different food. They had some of the finest ingredients imported from northern Italy because Alfred was northern Italian, and the chefs that I worked with were fun, were interesting characters, and taught me a lot. So I got that in my blood very early. When I went back to Canada to play hockey, I ended up working in a 5-star hotel, and I worked for Gerald Erler, who was Chef of the Year for 3 years in a row. And he sent me to the World Expo in Vancouver, made a team there to help out during the World Expo, which was a very long story, but an incredible experience. I'm sorry, I don't have your audio.
So did you go back to
There you go.
school? Yep. Did you go back to school for the training of becoming a chef, or how did you learn all the skills that you needed?
And like I say on LinkedIn, I'm a lifelong learner. I did go back to school. I went to VVI, which was in Vancouver for culinary arts. But I find you never stop learning. So right up to this, my new job, which is really incredible. I learn so much every day, and there's so much online training that it's like being reinvented. Um, all along, I've taken seminars, classes throughout my career.
So do you have a specialty area, or do you have a favorite food or cuisine? How do you decide like what your menu is, and which direction to go when you're in a certain location?
That's a great question. I stick to the Mid Atlantic. I started pretty much farm to table back in the early 90s at the Ashby Inn. Um, I the weather dictates, the season dictates my menu, but it's not a perfect science. Every spring, summer, winter, and fall, I'm always laughing, chuckling to myself because I typically change the menu four times a year, and the weather may be still hot when we're going into the fall menu. But I stick to those seasons and all the ingredients that are within 50 miles to come up with my menu. I do feature a lot of other things recently, but everything's domestic.
I love that. I love that. I know you have so many talents. Have you ever thought about doing a cookbook?
Yeah, I've been talking about that for a long time. I definitely need some help. Um, I think anybody that has cookbooks, I can mention a few names, gets a lot of help. So I'm here if anybody wants to jump in and give a hand. But my what I'm known for in the last 20 years is seafood. Um, this Mid Atlantic Chesapeake Bay area, but I've been in the Washington D.C. metro for 20 years, and the um, three of the top seafood restaurants I ran. So I got to be known for fish and stuff like that.
So I know that we've been talking for a while, and I know that when you've always been involved in causes, you've always been someone that has supported the local community and recognized restaurants and chefs, both locally as well as the restaurant community. Um, what's your view of what's going on now in terms of the restaurant industry coming back, or how they've been impacted because of the COVID situation? What's your take on that?
It's a hot topic, and obviously, I'm not real happy with what's going on. I think we need a lot more advocates to help the industry. I'm just one guy, and I mean, I stay busy helping others. It's a lot of mixed messages and a lot of I think policy, or maybe not no policy actually, but everybody's starving for some direction, and I happen to be very busy rebranding and reformatting a whole segment of corporate dining. Very exciting for me, and in a time that is very difficult for everybody. But what I think this whole thing is a great big reset, and I think we were talking at the beginning in March when this all happened. Great big reset. The strongest will survive. I most recently put out on LinkedIn, "I'm here for you," because if somebody needs help, they need to speak up, because there aren't a lot of people out there helping one another. It's kind of they're trying to just survive. It's a great big reset. Very sad. Um, in March, in February, I was in New York City doing a tasting for a big job, and didn't even realize what was going on. And then in March, when this all came down, I read an article about a guy that had a restaurant in New York City, and what do I do now? It's very sad, but whatever help is out there, you have to be resourceful and do your homework, your due diligence, and figure it out. But it's you're in the travel industry, and the airline business gets a lot of help, and the restaurant business doesn't get any help. So we would like to see some more help for our industry, for the hospitality industry.
And I know you and I have talked about that, different categories. When you think about hospitality, or travel, when you start breaking it up, you have the various markets, you have the hotels, but even within a hotel, you have different categories, job categories. You have the restaurant, you have those that are, supporting the room, you have the front desk. So everyone, when travel gets shut down, you have the local restaurants and event situations, excursions. Everyone is so interconnected. And so when one category shuts down, it impacts everything. I know for our talk today, I did a little bit of research, and in the podcast area above the podcast and also above the YouTube, there's a text box for those that might not be familiar with this, who might be listening right now. And so I'll drop in some nonprofits that I have found that might provide some support in the restaurant area. So that way, if you have a need for some help, like Dwayne was talking about, they might be able to provide you with help. If you, again, need some help in other areas, reach out to myself or Dwayne as well. And I'm happy to kind of do, some research. There might be, organizations that are out there that you might not be familiar with. So, again, say what you need and let's see if we can help you out. Because we are all a network. So, Dwayne, I know that right now travel is sort of paused, but when we can travel again, where do you think you might want to go?
Wow. Too many places on my list. I would like to get back. I was hoping to get to Vancouver this summer, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Even all the connections I have in Canada, I ask my buddies all the time if they can open the border for me, get me up there. I mean, if I was coming back down, it's never a problem. I just go over Niagara Falls like I did when I was a little baby. I always say my parents sent me over Niagara Falls in a barrel.
I actually have some good news for you. It might not be public knowledge, but Canada, the U.S. borders have actually reopened.
Wow, look at me.
But,
I need to get
again,
out more.
I can't tell you what the terms are, but I did see on one of the travel blogs that they've reopened them. So I guess, it's just a question maybe of where the hotspot is and all that other good stuff.
That's great news. That's the best news I've heard in a long time.
So any last minute shares that you would like to share with everyone who's listening today?
Geez. I just wanted to say, best of luck for everybody. And if you need any help, reach out and just keep doing what you're doing. We're all learning. And this reset is going to make us stronger and smarter and better at what we do. It's a lot is changing, and but in the end, it's still hospitality, and it's still us, creating for others. So I think the compassion and the passion and the love will always be there. So just keep doing what you're doing, and God bless you for wearing the mask in the kitchen and doing all the right things right, because that's what we got to do. And so thanks to everybody for doing what you got to do.
Yep. And, again, being in the travel space, I see things that are going on over in Europe, and hotels are opening, the things are starting to move around. It's slow, but it is starting to make a comeback, and we'll all figure this out together, just like you said. And for those that are looking at getting into this profession, it might be a little bit difficult at the moment, but again, long term, Dwayne has had a really great career, and so keep inspired and look at all the different options that you might have a passion in. So don't let a temporary situation stop you from doing something that you love. So
you can find me out there anywhere. Dwayne Keller, Chef Dwayne Keller. Look me up, and I make things seem simple, but it's really, if you have the drive and you have the passion and you the willingness to learn and to work your way up through the chain of command there, people always have to eat, and we're always needed. So it's a great avenue as a career.
Yep, for sure. Thank you so much, Dwayne, for being on today. And everyone, be sure to subscribe so you can see more of the podcast and the YouTube that is coming in the future. And thank you so much, and have an awesome day.
Thanks for having me.